I moved from a luxury apartment building in Denver to a trailer in the country. Let's go take a walk in the woods so I can explain a project I want to do, but also talk about being alone and loving being alone, because after all, I kind of sort of live alone in the woods. So let's go. Okay, so this spot right behind me is going to be something really special that I can't talk about yet, because I don't want to talk about it until it's either near completion or almost done. Because if I talk about a project that I'm going to do that I haven't started or I'm not close to being done yet, I feel like there's going to be pressure to make sure it's done in a certain amount of time, and like if something comes up and then people ask. And so something really exciting is going right here. Let's see if you can take a guess in the comments. I'm not going to tell you if you're right, but let's see if you take a guess. We're actually going to walk into the woods. Hopefully the bear is nowhere to be found, but the good thing about the bear is you can usually smell him before you see him. I probably should have a bear horn with me, but I have my loud voice, so that might actually be okay. I have come to realize that I actually love being alone. I've had to get really used to it being out here. I don't think I could go back. There were many times where when I first got here, I like, thank God I have like my cousin on the same land as me and my uncle and my aunt, but for a lot of it, I'm on my own. If something breaks, I have to fix it. I mean, if it's really out of my scope, I go and ask my uncle if he's not busy, if he's not worrying about his own thing that's broken, you know. And when I first got here, I cried a lot because there was a lot of stuff to get used to. I think anyone who moves from like city living and into the country, like I moved from a luxury apartment building in Denver to a trailer in the country. And like a trailer from the 90s that doesn't, like, there's tarps on the roof to keep it from leaking. Like, it's not like I'm in one of these brand spanking new trailers, you know what I mean? I had to get used to like figuring out when I have to switch my propane. I had to get used to using an RV bathroom, which is very different than what I'm used to. I mean, I've never had to deal with my own waste, and now I do. And there's just all this stuff that it was really hard for me to get used to, you know, because when you have this dream of like living in the woods, it's this cottagecore idealistic fantasy, right? And like, don't get me wrong, this is amazing. I have all these little nooks and crannies that are full of moss that I just get to sit and read. However, when I'm out here, there are new things that I'm constantly wondering. Like, there are new things of like, okay, constantly monitoring my food consumption, because I'm trying to grow as much of my own food next year as I can. And so I'm monitoring, okay, what foods do I eat? What vegetables do I eat? What kinds of things do I find myself consuming and buying at the grocery store over and over and over again? What of those things can I grow myself? I have had to slow down so much to just be able to, one, actually succeed out here, but two, appreciate it. Because as the seasons change, you change, the things you do change, the activities you're on the farm changes, etc. When it comes to being alone was something that scared me a lot. I grew up in a church where you grew up, you got married, and then you had kids. You know, that was the dream, right? When I found someone that I did get married to, this is a whole other story. I thought that like, okay, great, like I'm not going to be alone, and that was not the case. And it ended up going pretty badly, what was that? I literally thought I just heard the bear. It's probably just a deer. It's just a deer. And it was really scary at first, leaving that situation and realizing, you know what, like, okay, you're back being single. Like, how do you feel about that? And I actually realized once the panic subsided, and after a lot of therapy and a lot of meditation, journaling, self-work, I realized that kind of love that. Actually, I have grown to love my independence in a way that I never thought possible. And honestly, the only way I was able to get to this point was to be thrust so violently into it. If I had wanted to ease my way into independence, I don't know it would either happen this fast, or I don't know it would happen at all. My lifestyle is pretty fulfilling, and I can do a lot by myself. So the people that I want to enter into romantic partnerships with, they'll have to come with their own power tools or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I am so fulfilled and I can do so much by myself that I've come to a point in my life where I do not need a relationship. I don't need a romantic relationship. I don't need a partnership. So if I do enter into one, it's something that adds to my life. You know, it's not necessarily filling a need, but it is adding to my life. And I think that's a really great place to start a lot of relationships, personally, in my own opinion. But there were lots of things I had to get used to being out here, like things like, wow, it gets really, really dark and it gets really quiet, but so quiet, like human noise is down, but animal noise, I was not expecting and anticipating all the animal noise, and neither was my dog Finn. He was terrified when we first got here. But now we're used to it. Like, the things that used to be the background noise for me, which was like sirens and gunshots and people yelling and honking, like, my new background noise is like a rooster, raccoons, the seals are very loud, and the whales. And sometimes bears. You can sometimes hear them, but that's pretty rare. Coming here and being alone and spending so much time by myself, the only company I really have is myself, and this is the most I've ever gotten to know who I am in probably my whole life. And I struggled for years to even understand my own identity, to understand who I was, and suddenly now that's not a question anymore. Suddenly I know who I am, and I have a very strong foundation in that, and it's just like something I wasn't even working towards. It just happened, because that's what happens when you spend time by yourself, intentional, conscious time by yourself. The video is more talkative, you know, but I just wanted to kind of talk about being alone and how that's helped me, and maybe that's something that you could look at, but I don't know. Okay, so up here we've got this big tree. So my cousin and I, with this big tree, we're thinking of just kind of building almost like a deck, like a kind of a hexagon, I guess, deck around this. It wouldn't be that hard, because if you come up here and you turn around, this is what you're looking at. This is just water, right? So you're up here, you have this deck, you're doing yoga, you're meditating, and this is your view? Like, come on. So there is something. It's completely dilapidated now, but when I was a kid, this shack used to be an actual shack. And God, there's tons of plants growing through here. There's tons of plants growing in the woods. So, okay, here we go. So my Nana used to come take me for walks up here. Oh, there's deer tracks. And we would talk to the snapdragons, which are flowers that grow here. But, so this was the pickle shack behind me. You can't really see anything because it's just like wood framing at this point. But this used to be the pickle shack. So you can even see there's still all these jars and stuff, because this shack was where they put all their like canned and jarred and pickled goods. But obviously, as you can tell, it has completely just rotted away. But this used to be the old pickle shack, and when I was a kid, this was like a full shack, like an actual structure, building that you could actually go inside of. But obviously, not anymore. Look at this view. Honestly, I'd even come up here and do some yoga and meditation, because like, look at this. Like, are you joking me right now? Excuse me. Just the ocean. No big deal. Well, I hope you enjoyed walking the woods and our little chat about being alone and really using that to your advantage and learning more about yourself and enjoying that ride. And if you're going through something where you found yourself alone and it's not something you're not used to being alone, and it's scary, I understand that. I totally do, because I was there, and so many of us have been there before. But you're gonna be okay. Just take some time. And honestly, there's no greater teacher than yourself and some solitude. But anyway, I love you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.